and everybody who's attending this gathering tonight for spending the time with us. We're going to give you a little taste of what we are calling full access, a new unconference. And we are very excited to be doing this. And I would like to, first of all, say that in the spirit of the unconference is that you should feel free to ask questions at any time. We just request, so that it's not chaos, that you use the raise your hand in Zoom, which is down there at the bottom. When you go to react, you can see a little pop-up that says recognize hand gestures, and you can raise your hand in that section. Also, you can feel free to post your questions in the chat. Who's ever not speaking from our group will be monitoring the chat and the raise hands, and kind of chime in, kind of help the meeting not be too chaotic. It's a small group tonight, so that may not be all that necessary. So let's introduce, I'd like to introduce Ron Cates from RGC Data out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Ron is one of our volunteers. He is going to do a presentation at the very end on the event management system, which is still in search of a good name, that we are using to kind of drive the full access registration process and all aspects of full access. So Patrick could not join us tonight. Unfortunately, he thinks having work is more important than volunteering. So we have Kent Silveira. Am I pronouncing your last name right, Kent? Out of Data Maze Labs in somewhere in the California area. I don't have that jotted down. He is going to talk about the frequently asked questions part of the presentation. We also have Lisette Wilson, who is CEO of Informing Design LLC. And one of the things, and she's out of Austin, and she's one of the members of the Women Innovating Together, the WIT group. I'm not part of that group, so a little bit witless. She has also put on helped put on with that group a pause on error. So we're really happy to have her on board and get her insights for that. And then myself, I am one of two on the steering committee. I'm work with Portage Bay Solutions. I was independent developer for over 30 years. I did work with beeswax during a short period of time, kind of through the COVID area, and but later I moved over to Portage Bay for some very specific reasons, which I may touch on later because it has some bearing on a presentation. Then also the other co-member of the steering committee is Jonn Howell from Data Experience out of Auburn. Jonn is very enthusiastic, and he's kind of one of the driving forces behind this conference. He's putting in tons of hours, and we're very happy to work with him. Okay, Jonn, next slide. And each of the presenters, by the way, will give a little bit more detail of their background when it comes time to present. So what is full access? And why you should care. So we felt there needs to be a good alternative to Claris Engage. And PAWS basically offered one of those alternatives, that we could have a smaller, more intimate gathering that was by developers, for developers, community-led, and we can then celebrate all the Claris technologies and discuss the subjects that we wanted to do without having to be under the thumb of Claris or agendas. So we have a kind of a more wide open conference. Like I said, for developers, by developers. We really want a small, intimate group where we can basically share our ideas, feel empowered by being able to meet with each other and learn from each other and grow with each other. And we think this is a great opportunity to do that. It's one of the big things I got out of the Pause on Error conferences over the years. We're planning to do this October 20 to 23rd, 2025. I did see Eric has posted a question. We, who is the prime instigator, John's going to answer that a little bit later because he has a lot to say on the subject. But I will tell you right now, it's John. So also, just as a bonus, give you just a little bit taste, at the very end of the presentation, Ron Cates is going to show us the event management system a little bit, so it won't just be just us talking about the event. It'll be more, give you a little bit more technical detail. So the broader opportunity, broader look here. We love this idea of being able to make new friends, share our ideas and our challenges, and feed off one another and create those connections. We are doing this in lieu of the fact that there is no pause on error this year. What we do in the future is unknown. We know we got a lot to prove since we're the new kids on the block. But in order to do this, we kind of looked on the back history of locations that pause was put on and decided that what the best we think of the best set of circumstances for a venue would be a small retreat center, but we decided that with that retreat center that we did not want it to be so isolated that it made it very challenging for us to be able to put on a conference of this kind. And also that the most recent pauses have been East Coast events, so bringing it back over to the West Coast seems to be a good idea. So one of the things that we wanted to do is to make this as affordable as possible. And so we have tiered pricing that starts slightly under $1,000, and we'll go into more detail on that. But suffice it to say that includes room and board. So right then and there, we think this is a really good value. And registration is open at the fullaccess.us website. So we appreciate everybody who's registered. So what are we going to do there? We're going to have a broader focus on Claris technologies. Essentially, what that implies is that we can discuss the things that are important to us. And like at the last Engage, there was a big, strong focus on AI. And I still feel that there will be some focuses on AI, but there doesn't have to be. It's up to the developers. In fact, there might even be a contrarian view of AI technologies. When is it appropriate, when is it not? Vince has a question on whether, our break-even attendance is 80 people, and I think we'll have no problem reaching that. So there you go. We want to talk about what skill sets that we need to develop to meet future demand. Of course, AI is one of those, but there are others. I mean, there's a lot of areas still that a lot of people still need to get on board with, API and other, complementary technologies. Basically, what other solutions are out there that can make your FileMaker life easier? So The other thing that we are going to do there is do something that I'll elaborate on a little bit later, is the fact that not all the sessions are going to be technical. So a lot of the sessions are going to be around work-life challenges that we as developers have. Something that is really not appropriate at a large venue such as Claris Engage, but in an intimate setting, it's a good opportunity for people to open up a little bit better. It's not mandatory or anything like that. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about work-life challenges sessions down the road here as we get through here. So we have 3+ days of sessions in community. Basically, we have 3 nights, and we have some sessions the first night and some sessions at the tail end of the last day. So it's like kind of like 3.5 days. We tend to have 3 sessions going on at one time, but that's a lot of sessions over 3 days. And we'll talk a little bit more about how we're designing sessions and how we are making them a little bit unique. So you get your 3 nights of lodging, and there will be all the meals, which are served buffet style, and snacks are included.
So,
So,
Mike, I'm
yes,
also going to supply Pete's Coffee, so we have really good coffee there for those of
yeah,
us that
yeah.
rely
John
on
has to have his Pete's coffee.
it. Absolutely.
So, all right. Okay. So for this conference, we do have a limited amount of beds. John, do you remember what the actual bed count is?
Mute. We have 65 single rooms, a few of which will be taken up by our support team. We have 18 double rooms, so that's 36 people sharing a room. And then that's roughly 100, you can count it's 101 or 102 beds.
Yeah.
And then we have a total capacity of 150 people at the event, which means 50 of those people, if we max out, will be commuters who have to go home or go to a hotel. So that should motivate people to get their tickets early before they have to
Right.
drive.
So the venue is only a few miles from Silicon Valley. So we think that there will be quite a few people who are just going to want to be able to commute. A lot
Yep.
of people in the area. So we can actually have more people coming to this conference than we have beds. So we do have a commuter pricing, which we'll get into later. We do have an all-volunteer team. We have around 14 of us. John and I are the steering committee, and then we have a number of people who've been working their little heinies off, doing some of the dirty work that needs to be done, and the technical work, and taking the load off John and myself. We are trying to make this as affordable as possible. We have a lean budget, and we want to keep it that way. We are not interested in actually generating a profit. Our goal is to make this as equitable as possible in terms of costs. Uh, so we will have, it's not open yet, but we will have a Slack workspace for the attendees. We have our own Slack space for managing this event, but we'll have a separate one for the attendees as a way for people to communicate and ask questions. So so we'll be going from basically back in October from Monday 9 a.m. to Thursday to 2 p.m. And John will get more into the details on that when he shows the venue. Registration is open. Here's our rates. So the $9.95 for a single room, and then of course $8.95 for a shared room. That's 2 beds. It's not necessarily, that is 2 people, 1 person per bed. So that doesn't mean people can double up on a bed. And then we have a commuter rate of $7.95, which also, all these tiers include the meals. So even if you are not doing the rooms, you can still get the meals. The venue, once again, it's above Silicon Valley. It's on a hilltop retreat, and John's going to speak more to that. And then we think it's a very nice, we got 40 acres of a very, what I call it, intimate setting, I guess, to put it. And now let's talk a little bit about unconferences. So in the beginning, there was pause on error. And some of you may have gone to the early pause on errors. The early ones were held in Portland and New York City at some of the quirky Ace hotels. And we didn't have, for the most part, any sort of conference rooms. The presentations were basically done in hotel rooms at the time. And in the more popular ones, there was very little seating. A lot of people watched their presentations from sitting in bathtubs. I remember that very clearly. And it was designed, first of all, as by presenters for designed for developers to present to other developers to their concerns. A great way to meet under our own auspices, our own issues, our own ideas. Really developer focused, and decided to be a smaller than what you would see at DevCon, and now we call that Engage. So as pause and error matured, a lot of different types of venues and different types of pauses were attempted. There was one in Cleveland that was in a hotel, but did have meeting spaces, and that was improvement. There was one in Chicago that actually focused on security issues, and that was a smaller gathering. And that was actually held at a city college over there with people finding their own hotel rooms. There was one in New Orleans, Lisette and the women innovating together put that one on, and that was held at a hotel with conference rooms, and that was a lovely setting. And there was one also held at another retreat center. I don't in the California area.
Los Gatos.
Los Gatos.
An old monastery, right?
Yeah, and what was attempted on that one was to be more meditative, and we were urged not to actually. Meals were held in silence, and that was a bit controversial, at least on my end. And then, of course, Albert had put on one in Tulum, Mexico. And that one was, I did get a chance to attend on that one. And that was a very exciting, that was more of a resort with some conference rooms. And that included some touring around in Mexico. It was semi-successful. There were some issues. Unfortunately, the people who were putting on the event had a big death in the family right before the event, so it was a little bit chaotic in parts. But I still thought it was a good session. But everything sort of ended in the COVID era. Nobody could meet anymore. Like no DevCons, no pauses. And at that point in time, it was kind of a lonely, we all just had to meet using Zoom, as we discussed a little bit earlier. But as we were coming out of the COVID era, Pause was the first to come up with an idea of, could you switch slides, John? Yeah. Pause, the planners of Pause came up with an idea to have an event where we could really isolate ourselves while COVID was, well, it started to be on the decline, that we could be in a kind of a camp setting that was extremely isolated, and everybody who had to come had to, be tested for COVID. And it was a really great experience. This was held in Clayton, Georgia, because everybody had a chance to kind of freely congregate, something that everybody had been missing for quite a few years. And that setting, I think, was great. And it also sort of led to some experimentation or some different types of presentations that you normally you wouldn't get at an Engage, and really hadn't been seen before at any kind of conference. And that was we had a chance to take look at some work-life issues that the setting was right for it. It would not be appropriate in a big venue. And I put on a couple of those sessions. So just to briefly talk about them. I've actually held kind of 3 sessions on work-life matters. One in Tulum, which I guess would be the birth of this. One was the one in Tulum was I called Pause on Exit, and that was a session on how to leave your job. How do you leave your job gracefully? How do you not leave your clients in the dark? What happens when you need to move on, or what should happen to you if you get hit by a bus? And do your clients know how to access their servers? And who do you have designed to take over? What can you do to do continuity care? So that was one idea. Over 2 years at Pause, I did one session on the evils of abstraction, which actually had a lot to do with work life. And a lot of people like to really abstract their code, and the reasons for doing that can actually be pretty personal. I won't go into details here. And then I did another session, which was called Pause on Perfection, which also talked a lot about how trying to develop code perfectly can get in the way of getting a job done. And the fact that many developers have perfectionist personalities.
Can I talk about that one a little bit, Mike?
Yes, you may.
So Mike called me, this is in 2022, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're old friends. He goes, hey, I'm going to give a session at Pause on Air. It's going to be called Pause on Perfection, how perfection is the enemy of the good. And he goes, would you like to assist me? And I immediately thought, yeah, if you'll let me play devil's advocate, because I'm a perfectionist, as he knows, and talk about how important perfectionism is when appropriately channeled. So he had a bunch of slides, he did it, and then I came in kind of intuitively, and I did it very vulnerably, sharing, look, I happen to be a little autistic and OCD, and I have these issues, but I think everybody does, because you wouldn't be a programmer if you weren't someone who likes to hide behind a computer. Or, it's like a natural gravitation well of work. And we had 36 people show up, and because he had it structured, and then I brought in the spontaneity and a little vulnerability, we started talking about our own lives and where perfectionism plays or laziness plays and the different aspects of it. There was we purposely held it right before the lunch hour so that if there was discussion, we'd have like another hour to roll into. And as I remember it, there were 36 people in the room, which at a gathering like Pause that had like 110 people, 36 was a lot of people in one room. We held it in the synagogue of the Jewish summer camp. And everybody, I think 32 out of the 36 people engaged in a discussion for almost an hour and a half after the presentation, which was over. And it was wonderful. People were coming out of the woodwork, sharing things. And I looked at Mike, I go, there's something to do in this style that brings people out. We need to do more of this. And I remember at the end when Chrissy was saying, hey, what were your favorite presentations? 4 different people got up in the, what they call it, the outdoor arena that we're sitting in, the amphitheater. And 4 people said the session that Mike gave was like the best one at the whole event. So we talked about it afterward going, I don't know what we do with that, but apparently there's a hunger in the community for a place where people can talk about technical stuff, feel safe, but then open up a little bit. Because I watched the crowd and I told Chrissy about this. I go, Chrissy, I think 80 to 85% of the people that go to Pause on Air are introverts. And she corrected me a couple weeks ago. No, John, not 80 to 85% of Pause on Air, 80 to 85% of the entire Claris community are introverts. And I'm like, oh, bingo. Then what's really there's a hunger for is a place for people to come who are a little introverted or got social anxiety or, have the type of mindset of a programmer that can go, that it's not Comic-Con, but where they can go and learn technical stuff, build friendships, feeling safe, learn a little more about interpersonal communication, but still not feel pushed too far. So we had a lot of discussion about walking that line where we're going to attract you based on the wonderful technology that's about and the fellowship, but we're also going to give you opportunities to learn, like, how to do a better job giving a presentation, public speaking, or different how to manage
John?
projects.
John, you have a
John?
It
question.
came out of there.
Yeah, Dennis has a question. If you'll unmute your mic, Dennis?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt John. I was willing to wait for him to finish.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dennis. I'm done. I just wanted to share that became the foundational format of our discussion for doing full access. We want to bring that kind of ingredient in. Go ahead.
I just wanted to ask a quick follow-up question of Mike. When you mentioned the pause on exit idea,
Yes.
is that idea still alive, or?
I've actually executed. I executed differently than my presentation to Loom, and I am actually thinking about giving a session on my exit strategy. And while I have exited, I'm still here. It's kind of unique, but
Would you like to collaborate with me on something that I've worked on for about a decade already on that same idea? I don't know if this is the time and place for me to give you a synopsis of it, but I can meet up with you after and in person, just talk together about it. If you want.
I would be happy to.
I could also put together, something in a presentation for this event, or collaborate with you on it. It's really an expansion of the idea of not leaving your client in the lurch if the proverbial bus were to knock you over. There's a company here in Colorado that sells a paper product that accomplishes, leaving behind instructions for what your family should do about things. And the idea came to me long ago when my mom died, and of course she left a paper file cabinet, and our lives are all in the cloud. And so it wasn't just a way of rescuing my clients, but also leaving for my heirs or my family instructions for what they need to do about everything in my life, including handing off business to other FileMaker developers.
So Dennis, Dennis and Mike, this is where I step in and invite Dennis to come to Full Access and collaborate with Mike on that session.
Well,
absolutely.
A quick FYI, I was going to leave this for the end, but when you were having your social time before the meeting began, I went online and began to register, but somehow I got a message that said that my email is invalid when I tried to create my login. So just let you know that needs attention.
Oh,
Okay, we'll have Ron look at that.
yeah. Thank you, Dennis.
We're sorry about that, but Dennis, welcome aboard. And I do want to, it's interesting what you said there, because when I gave my presentation in Tulum, I actually was co-presented with another gentleman, and my 72-year-old mind just can't remember his name right now. And he actually talked more about the personal aspects of, what you have to do with family. And while I did more on the kind of the technical aspects of that. And so we had the other gentleman had more of a nursing background. And so it was, we could kind of feed off each other. So I'm happy to do a joint session.
The main reason why I'm eager to collaborate with you about it is that whenever I've shared this concept with either my attorney or family, and they all say to me, "What a terrific idea. You should sell that to financial planners and probate lawyers and people who have to manage that kind of stuff." And the reason I can't do that is because I can't support it after I'm dead.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's great. Would love to talk to you more. We're going to kind of move on here a little bit more.
Thank you.
You bet, Dennis. Thank you.
Next one.
So some of the things, one other type of session that was given in New Orleans, which Lisette's going to talk about more in just a few minutes, was a session on mentoring for presenting. I won't go into any more detail now. I'll let Lisette talk about that. So we have a lot of exciting things besides the technical sessions. So and because pause on error is paused, we have an opening. Will we replace pause? Don't know. We'll see. Everything will be assessed after this first gathering. We have a lot to prove. Pause doesn't. So the only other thing that I'd like to say before we get into the planning session is that there was a group up in the Northwest and with some folks from Canada that were thinking about putting on a session as well, putting on a conference as well. And we kind of talked to them. We didn't want to step on their toes, and I'm from the Northwest as well. And we sort of agreed that they would just kind of put their plans on hold and join us and help get this off the ground. And then maybe next year, if Trump willing, we would do something maybe up in the Northwest section, perhaps even in Canada. But all that is right now very up in the air. It's everything's volatile at the moment. So,
Mike,
yes.
can I just toss something in here?
Yeah.
Which we didn't rehearse. There are a number of other events going on. I know there's one in Toronto. There's one going in, one or two in Europe. Joe Scarpetta's Scarpetta Group is doing their Build, Grow, Learn in September in Greenville, South Carolina. I talked when we talked to the West Coast people, they thought it was great. They'll just be part of this one, and maybe we'll do one in Canada next year. Scarpetta Group said, look, it's not much overlap. We're addressing business people and a different class of local developers. So he and I have blessing for each other's, even though ours is only 6 weeks after his. It's a different crowd. So we've looked at the so-called competition or the other events, and we reached out to the people at Calling Vienna. And it's not a conflict. This is a different flavor than the other ones. So if, in case that question comes up, we've already kind of run the bases, and no one's worried about conflict. I just want to throw that in.
And there is a comment in the chat about why was pause paused, and Lisette quoted what the pause on air people basically said. We know many of you look forward to the event. We're incredibly grateful for this amazing community that has grown around it, but sometimes to fully embrace the things that truly matter, we need to say no to others, even wonderful ones. Remember the joy of missing out. So that was from Martha and Chrissy. Yeah. So we actually have looked and have talked to the pause people, and we're not stepping on anybody's toes. So anyway, to make this happen, we need to become as official as possible. We've got an LLC formed. Like I said before, our goal is to break even. We're not out to make a profit on this. So we are fully insured. John and I are the steering committee, and then we have all our volunteers, which I mentioned before. Registrations are open, and sessions are being proposed. So we don't have a full list of sessions because that's going to be developer decided. So at this point in time, we're going to move over to the session area, and we're going to have Lisette talk a little bit about this. She's got some good experience running the pause in New Orleans with the WIT group. And so, Lisette, I am going to turn it over to you.
So I'm Lisette Wilson. I'm in Austin, Texas, and have been doing this for long enough now, more than 25 years at least. I've got a small crew, and and I've been involved with WIT FM for quite a while. Before, when it was Women of FileMaker, the name change came about when we became a nonprofit because we could not get the name. You couldn't have a trademark name in your name. So if you could, let's see, I'll talk first a bit what Mike had talked about, the session that we had at the Pause in New Orleans that was really geared towards helping new speakers. Our whole goal in that was getting more women involved and trying to get more women to speak in hopes of getting more women to speak and engage. So we were really pushing to try to get people who had never spoken before. And it had a lot to do with how we structured sessions and getting things coming up. So because we were trying to encourage that, and we knew there were a lot of people, including me. That was the first time I spoke at a conference, and I got to dive all the way in. I'm an introvert. I'm not a good public speaker. I don't like speaking in public. I'm very nervous about it. So I got a lot of practice ahead of time and a lot of good advice from people who are very good at it, that were also involved in planning it. And Martha really was the genius behind the idea of having this session where we would practice, where anybody who wanted advice on how to be a better speaker and to just kind of get a chance to get up there and learn. So one of the sessions at the end of the day was, we had a panel of speakers, of people who had spoken at DEF CON, and they each shared a story of an embarrassing presentation or something bad that happened. Actually, they listed what the things were, and you had to guess who did what. But it let everybody know that even people that you think are fantastic at this had rough patches as well. And then we broke out after that, and anybody who wanted to give it a try could pair up with one of those speakers and get some advice on how to do it. You could pick, it didn't have to be a technical topic, just pick something you wanted to talk about for 5 minutes and get up in front of the group and do it. And I didn't know until I started planning on this how much that impacted Mike. But I know a lot of people got a lot out of that one.
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here talking today if it weren't for that session.
It's, and it's really helpful to be able to do that in a safe setting, where you can be a little vulnerable, and you're surrounded by friends, and it's a little bit more comfortable. I mean, I tried to stack the deck in my session and put all my friends on the front row so I could just be talking to them whenever I got nervous and not look at who was in the rest of the room. And that really helped me, and finding things like that can help you get in front of them. I found out recently from my sister that when my niece was in school recently, now they make them do public speaking in like 3rd or 4th grade in one of her classes. I was like, if only someone had done that to me, maybe it wouldn't have been such a big thing for so long. So it's an opportunity for something like that, and I'm excited that these guys want to repeat that. Hopefully we can get more people involved, because everybody's got good ideas that we can learn from. So I wanted to talk about 2 things. One, why I like the smaller Unconference and what I think are the pros of this. I mean, the first bit is just that it really is it's much more economical. I mean, you can see it, the cost, including your food and lodging as well. Engage was more than that for less time, and you had to get a hotel in a nice part of town, where they're, the more expensive part of Austin. If just being able, for those of you in California, it's even cheaper. You're not, you can just drive and not have the flight in. So I think you get a lot more bang for your buck out of it. When you've got an all-inclusive space like this, you have much less time wasted in travel. I didn't do Engage this year, I did last year, and you're spending a lot of time on buses going back and forth from the hotel to the event. You do get a chance to talk to somebody then, but you just feel like you're spending a lot of time getting from place to place. When you're in this is more like the resort experiences when DEF CON would be at the resort, where you could just wander around and go from bar to bar and keep bumping into people. It's similar to that, but smaller and more intimate. With this venue having unlimited space, much like the camp in Georgia, it means you can have as many sessions with as many or as few people as you want. So if you end up finding that you and 2 other people have this idea you want to drill in on, you can just go off and do that. There's room. If there's only a couple people interested, that's fine. It's still valuable. It's good for everyone to talk about. Or if you just spin off after a session and you kind of started up something different, you can just have that. I know I went to one in one of those Ace Hotel ones where there were just, I didn't go to the one that was the big draw. I went to one that was similar to something I was trying to do because it could save me some time in finding out what mistakes have you made? What mistakes have I made? Where can we make this better? And having that means it makes it easier for new speakers to gain experience, because it doesn't have to be, you're not in front of hundreds of people. You don't have to have a polished presentation. you can just have a good idea about something you want to talk about and learn about, and get the opportunity to do it. Especially with user groups being more fragmented these days, it's an opportunity for that, because that was the only place I really saw it before then. And then it's not really pushing sales of products. The information is there, it's available. If you want to find out more about this tool somebody makes, you can ask them, they'd be happy to tell you all about it. But it's not that you're going to sessions that are purely about marketing and pushing a certain agenda. It's driven by what you want to know, not by what they want to tell you. With no pressing schedule that you've got to be at different places at different times other than mealtime necessarily, it's flexible. So it's easy to add a session, especially in a space like this. If you come up to a group and it's a big group and you start talking about the topic at hand and realize, well, half the people are kind of wanting to go in this direction and half want to go in that other direction, you can just split off and kind of focus on those. And you can add some extra time at the end and just go find that. So it's easier to do that. And then you've got a lot more fun time that fosters community. This was especially true in the campground in Georgia, but it was true at all of the other ones as well. Just game night. Yeah, there's usually a group off playing games, bunch of board games, people who bring along. There will be, singing and around the campfire. We won't have a campfire, but there can still be singing. It gives me the chance, if have hung out and played and not just been talking about work with people and getting to know them and laughing with them and learning about them, their family and their friends, I'm a lot more willing to reach out to them after the event and say, hey, you showed me this thing that was really cool and I'd like to know more about it. Whereas I never really felt that comfortable after meeting people at DEF CON or Engage. You don't really, it feels more of a business environment, less of a friend environment in those cases. And this way you feel like you're making friends and that we all want to help each other. So what makes a good presentation? This was kind of what we were aiming for in New Orleans and things that I've seen as it went along. We want, trying to encourage discussion and collaboration. It's more of a workshop than a prepared lecture. You're wanting back and forth so that everyone is participating. It often fosters creativity. We found that panels or teams leading the discussion, just like what happened here earlier, if you find out that you've got a couple of people wanting to talk about the same thing, it's better to put them together. Even if they have different perspectives on it, some of that can be better. And some, this was, I realized even with Engage, DEF CON stuff, there have been panels there that I felt were very useful. I think getting that different perspective from different people on the same subject can be helpful. I know another one that was really popular from the WIT FM was we had 4 women of different ages that had been in the community for different amounts of time talking about their experience and how they came up into doing what they're doing. And everybody just got to ask them questions and they would take turns answering them. And we got a lot of great feedback about that one as well. So working demos can be really good. If you're building something and then you dive in afterwards, but you're not relying on everybody being able to see all the detailed code on your screen, unless it's one of those things where you've got 3 or 4 people and you can all just crowd around your computer and see it. Part of the challenge of the campsite was that we didn't have many places where you could actually have a projector and see a screen. So the sessions were much more innovative. They were much more analog. There were some places like a treehouse where you didn't even have an internet connection. So we started looking at how do you talk about it without having that screen. And then maybe come back later and in the dining hall after dinner, sit down and go, okay, I want to see what the details of that script. It's not expecting everybody to be able to get all of that into them at that time. The other thing could be solving a problem as a group. I've seen people come along and just bring, hey, I'm struggling with this. Does anybody else have a better solution? I don't like the way this is. In fact, my session, I was doing a technical session in my first presentation, and in the midst of it, somebody asked a question about a use case that we hadn't considered or thought of, and we tried something. I had layered card windows and realized how somebody could move it in a way that we didn't want. And we were talking about it in there, and someone came up and was like, oh, wait, I've seen that. And we revised my demo file as a group and took care of a use case that we hadn't come across yet. So we made a better demo file to be able to share with everyone. And that was very much in the spirit of pause and what we would like to have happen here. Having a clear beginning, but the middle and maybe the end can be unplanned. You know what you want to talk about. You set the stage, you bring all the ingredients together, and then let them combine in a way and just see where you end up. And again, back to the not having a traditional presentation space, we have props. We've had a lot of people bring props. One of my favorites was Sully explained container data storage and some issues he had run into and why they all existed and all this stuff, using an egg carton and eggs to explain bits and bytes and a lot of other stuff, and created a human timeline from the people in the session. So a very technical discussion, but he didn't bring. I don't think he even brought a computer that year.
Nice.
So it's possible to have a really good discussion through all of that. I know Jonn and the others will be doing the class on speaking and helping make speakers, and just having this intimate setting where you can be more vulnerable than you ever would be in an engaged presentation.
And John's going to demonstrate in a little bit with the venue how, if people need to break out into small little ad hoc groups, that is all accessible and available.
Cool. Thank you, Lisette. Anybody got questions, comments for Lisette before we move on?
Before we move on, I just wanted to tell Dennis that I posted directly to you in the chat my email address in case we don't connect up after this session here. So, all right.
Thanks, Lisette.
Go ahead, Lisette.
Oh, that was it. I may drop off in a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
We put her in early because she's in a lighter time zone.
Yeah, it's getting dark out.
All right. So, just to outline how the sessions are being organized at this point. Some of the session ideas, besides our welcome meeting. The interesting thing is the public speaking with mentors is the session that we want to bring back. It was interesting. It was the last session that was done in New Orleans, but we're going to make this like the kind of right after the welcoming session after dinner being the first session to kind of help break the ice. That's something I think we're going to be firm on. Then of course, Ron will be is going to present the event management system. There is talk about integrating with systems with data API. Something on the while function, which is probably, that is, as an old FileMaker hand, something I'm still not using yet because I'm old and it's hard for me to learn new things, but that'd be a wonderful session for me.
Mike?
Yes.
Also, we're trying to get Kevin Frank to come. He was supposed to talk about that on the while function at .fmp in 2019, and he couldn't make it. So I've been bugging him, like, come talk about it now. He's considering, because he's a good presenter on that subject. Right.
So people have some enhanced JSON tools I'd like to show off, and some sessions on web development. Now, none of this is in stone yet, because this is a conference for developers to discuss what they want, but we're kind of trying to lay a little bit of groundwork here and things that we would, that we think would be of interest. It's of interest to us. Let's put it that way. Some more sessions, some we're talking about AI. I'm considering doing an AI contrarian session, discussing about when it's not appropriate to use AI in your solution, or is fuzzy logic always a good thing? But I haven't decided on that yet. But these are the things I'm hoping that would be, can tickle your fancy.
Mike?
Yes.
Since I've had conversations with about 50 developers now, there's several people that are displaying interest, right? They haven't got to register just yet, who are wanting to talk about AI. So there is a number of interests, and there's some interest by some people who have some traction with AI to speak about it. So because that is emerging technology, do know that our intention is to make room for that, but it's not going to be a dominating presence. It will be woven in with everything else. But there's a lot of interest.
It's important to the community, and I'm not trying to dismiss AI.
Of course.
It's not going to be the overriding subject of pause. It is. It definitely was a Claris agenda. It could be an agenda here for those who think it needs to be. So we're not shutting the door on AI. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that,
of course,
we can have a larger breadth of opinion on AI than what you might see at an Engage conference. So anyway, you can see some of the other subject matters here: making most of the data API. Good work-life one is team communications. That is a good conversation. How do you best work with your team, and how best work with your client without jeopardizing your project? Exit application. I kind of talked a little bit that's the session with that Dennis is interested in. I like to call my sessions after FileMaker functions. So exit application is sort of like, how do we exit from our existing work situation? And then somebody discussed wanting to do red flags during project discovery. Very important.
That was Lisette's idea, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So good. So that's just the start. That will change, and as Jonn is going to elaborate more when he talks about the venue and sentence structures and things like that, we're offering kind of many unique ways to do sessions that may not have been done in the past. So we really would love your participation on this. As I like to say, please come to full access and re-authenticate. That's my little privilege set for you. So we're extending our privilege set to you. Let's put it that way.
Let me add something else, Mike. May I, real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
When Egbert reached out to me in late 2018, and I didn't even know him. He just had my email address. He goes, "Would you like to come to .fmp?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I'm German. I have a bucket list. I want to go to Germany and do some touring. I'm there. I'm going." And then he immediately wrote back. He goes, "So what are you going to talk about?" And I wrote back, like, "I just wanted to go. I didn't want to talk." He goes, "Oh, you can't come to take. You have to come to give." I'm like, "Oh, damn. So now I have to give a presentation." And although we're not going to be that mean about it, we want to invite people to, and in the process of registering, consider, would you be willing to talk about something, even if you have to stretch your comfort zone a little bit? It's an invite.
Right. Okay. So now I'm going to let Jonn Howell take over this next session. He's got lots of wonderful things to tell you about the venue, and a little bit more about us. And so Jonn, if you will introduce yourself in a little bit more detail.
And after me, Kent will be talking about the FAQs. Ron will be giving a presentation on and a live demo on the event management system. So stay tuned for some exciting stuff. I have a few videos coming up. So organizing the planning team. I got to tell you, this fell in my lap. I wasn't looking to do this. Now, I had years of experience, 15 and 20 years ago, teaching software and at Pepperdine University and stuff. So I had a little background in it. But then when Pause on Air came around, I thought, oh, these guys are much better than me. I'm just going to bow out and let them do it. And they were doing it great. And since everybody wanted to find a new location, we're tired of going all the way to Atlanta and time for something new, as wonderful as that facility was. I was looking for 6 months for an alternative place, and I couldn't find one because everything I found was like summer camps for teenagers where everything's a bunk bed, or they didn't have enough meals, or didn't have enough room, and nothing was quite right. And then one morning, February 17th, I woke up to an email from the Jesuit Retreat Center in Los Altos, and she says, we have an opening. We have one opening 1 week this year. And I called her, which took several days to get her on the phone, and it seemed the perfect location. So then I was going to call Chrissy and say, I found your new Pause on Air location. And before I could call her, the same morning as I got the email, she sent an email out saying, we're not doing Pause this year. And I'm like, okay, dear God, what do I do with this? I finally found the right place, and now they're not going to do it. And it just came upon me like, well, then just organize a team and do it. You know how to do this, sort of. We're much more naive than the Pause on Air teams. So I just got on the phone and I called 40 developers, and to a T, everybody's like, if I can make it, I'm there. Do you want to volunteer? I'll sign up. And people started signing up. So now we have a Slack planning workspace, separate from the one will be the attendee workspace on Slack. And we've got 15 members, and people are jumping in going, where can I help? What do you need? Here's my skill set. And while I have to learn how to manage teams because I work alone and I'm not used to managing people, I'm seeing that if I just step back and try to be the glue in the background and let everybody shine, you know, this community is so full of wonderful, generous, kind, creative, brilliant people who want to build community. We all have the same hunger. That it's not so hard when you show that, yeah, we're organized, we know what we're doing, we have a great idea, we have a great place, we've got good people. People fall in line real quick, like, I want to be part of that. There's a hunger in the community. So I know I've stepped on a few landmines and had some struggles to learn how to manage people. So Mike and I are partnering at it. It seems to work best that I let him lead the presentations and I stay in the back. And then everybody else starts coming forward. I know, because that could be a little overwhelming, but other people have so much to share if we just make room for them. So we're learning how to put a conference together literally from like ground zero. We've been doing this for 7 weeks, and we have a website, and we have a team of 15 people, and we've got an LLC and insurance, and everything's organized. It's amazing how fast it comes together when you're doing a good thing that people want. We have 15 volunteers. We have a few more people who are going to volunteer on site. I'm talking to Eric about helping us out on some stuff today, and he's excited to help out. We're going to work that out. So this is a volunteer-run thing. We're all volunteers. No one's getting a salary. No one's making money. And that leveling atmosphere, it makes people want to participate because they know that you're going to be working just as hard as they are, and they want to be part of it. And then people want to go because they get the authenticity, the sincerity of the people who are doing it. And I just start to see like little miracles happen all over the place because this is such a wonderful community. And we will continue to have volunteers. In fact, when we're there, because I had some meetings with Chrissy Ferris and John Sindelar from Pause on Air about this when we first started to get their advice, and they told me it's going to take a lot more hours than you can imagine to put this together. And I said, nah, but they were right. It's probably more than they estimated. But they gave me a lot of guidance on what to do to create an atmosphere where people can shine and lift them up, and ask everybody who goes there to volunteer at some little thing. Ask them to be a room mentor, a room monitor, so that when events going on, one person on every session will have randomly been picked to like make sure everything's all right and the microphones are working and everybody knows where the bathroom is, and just to help hold it together and keep a certain coherency in the presentation. And we're literally going to ask participants to volunteer along the thing, so everybody gets a chance to contribute. And I got to tell you, that creates an atmosphere of gratitude and generosity that really moves people, and it opens up their hearts. So not only are they going to learn something, but they're going to feel so safe and welcome and involved that they're going to be, wow, I have a family here. That's the goal. Some people leave like, I have family. I'm just reminded how strong my family is. And that's what I'm seeing emerging in just planning this thing. We started with like, oh, we gotta, how do we organize this? Do I do it under my company name? And I happen to have an old friend who's wildly successful in the retirement planning industry in Silicon Valley. And I called him up. I go, Steve, what do I do? He goes, well, you got to get an LLC. We could talk about the not-for-profit thing later, but you got to get insurance. You got to do this. And I go, so how do I do that? He goes, I'm sending everybody to you. I have all the connections you need. So my friend from 7th grade lined me up with people to do a lot of the merch, to do all the insurance, both for the event and the company, how to get an attorney, how to get an EIN, and it was seamless. It all fell together really, really smoothly. And people started stepping up, and we started discovering so much complexity. I'll talk about the Wi-Fi a little later, but we just keep discovering that the boundaries, the burdens, or the hurdles are being conquered very easily and very smoothly, but with a lot of work. I have a lot of public speaking background since 4th grade because I was the tallest kid in the class. And by the way, I live up in Auburn, California, outside of Sacramento, on the way up to Reno on Highway 80. I like it because we're the edge of the country and I can go mountain biking and stuff. But I grew up in San Francisco, and I was the tallest kid in the class and the shyest kid in the class, believe it or not. And the teacher always made me give the assembly presentations to the kids from 4th grade up. And yeah, I was bullied like all hell because the kids were envious. And then all the way through college, I have a mechanical engineering degree from San Jose State, where Eric works. And we gave a couple presentations and took 2nd place in engineering design classes at UOP. So I kept doing this, and then I spoke like 20 times at DevCon and a lot of other meetup groups. So I have the background, but I have been mentored by some significant people. One of my close friends, if you remember Stephen Gallagher, I would go to him going, how do I give this presentation when I have 70 slides? And he would say like, why do you have 70 slides? I go, because I have a lot of information. He goes, so do you need to give that information because they need it or because you need it? I'm like, oh, damn, busted. I'm doing this for my own self-esteem. I'm not doing it for others. And I've been groomed by a lot of other people, and I also have a background in Toastmasters for professional presentation. So I want to lead with assistance of a couple other people, at least one session on public speaking and how to give a presentation. And we've got some really fun plans how to make it fun and pull that off. So I could take the most introverted person, and by the end of a couple hours, we'll feel confident to give a 2 or 3 minute presentation and completely blow past their social anxiety, because I have it myself. And there are a number of good people in the community that I'm tapping saying, could you come? My dream would get to have Bob Bowers in that class. That's my dream. Now, whether or not I can get him to do it, we'll see. But Stephen Gallagher always told me he was the gold standard for presentations in the FileMaker community, Bob Bowers. And, there are a lot of other good speakers. But I've leaned and I've watched, and I watched Richard Carlton's videos and how he comes across. And I learned from all of that, and I want to give that to the next generation. So that's a little about the public speaking session. Now, the venue. I talk a little faster than Mike, so if I go too fast, tell me to slow down. The property is the Jesuit Retreat Center. I'm going to go over the property, the lodging, the meals, the registration, travel to get there, a little bit about perks and swag. What do you get out of this? And then how we're going to record the sessions. So the Jesuit Retreat Center, which I will show a video of shortly, is in Los Altos. It's off of Interstate 280, 2 miles off of it, off El Monte Drive. And if you know the area, it's 8.5 miles from Apple headquarters, the spaceship, right? And 8.5 miles from Claris headquarters, right in the heart of Silicon Valley, really easy to get to, in the most beautiful neighborhood that feels like Beverly Hills, real high-end houses. It's on a mountaintop surrounded by a residential community, just 2 miles from the freeway, close to the airports. Quite exciting. The Ring, excuse me. Okay, the Ring, is that what they call it? I'm sorry. That's Apple's Ring. The history of the Jesuit Retreat Center is that it was owned by Mike's got the notes, but it was owned by the McGinn family until 100 years ago next month when the Jesuits bought it. It is 40 acres. And I heard that 32 of those acres are hiking trails. It's a beautiful facility with multiple meeting rooms. And the trails are beautiful. They're lined with oak chairs and benches. They got Stations of the Cross because it is a Catholic place. There's a chapel that's open 24/7 for us. We will have exclusive access to this property outside of their maintenance crew, their kitchen staff, and the 4 or 5 priests that live on site, which is the two constraints we deal with is we can't make noise outside after 9 p.m., but in the house on the hill, which is very nice, we can have music as late as we like. And the other thing is we can't have a campfire because it is California and they got fire issues.
So John,
wonderful
in
property.
the notes, John, in the notes, kind of an important thing that
Go ahead.
you may not have mentioned is that we have 4 large meeting rooms and we have 10 smaller breakout rooms.
Yes, 4 large meeting rooms, which I'll show you 2 of them, and at least 10 breakout rooms that will hold between 8 and 15 people. And some of those rooms are just beautiful, fireplaces or out in a garden. Plenty of room to have 3 or 4 consecutive sessions. We're thinking about having 3 sessions and holding a 4th one for spontaneous or last minute sessions that come up. So there'll be no lack of room. The longest walk is from the main garden up to the house on the hill, which is 1/8 of a mile on a beautiful graduated paved road. Anything else on that, Mike, I'm leaving out?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay. There's the 4 large meeting rooms, breakout rooms, and this is where I will give you a tour. So I've got a few videos. This is probably the longest one, starting in the beginning. I'm going to start in what's called Loyola Garden. This is the middle of the complex. The building on the left is a hallway that goes to what's called the O'Mara Conference Room back here. You'll see a ramp up here, if you see my mouse moving, for ADA rooms. We have 2 ADA rooms that will host 3 people if they have wheelchairs. Then in the middle of the grounds is a fountain that's going all the time. And if you notice on the left, this sculpture is called Homeless Jesus, and it's not the only one. There are dozens of these around the world where it's a bronze sculpture of Jesus laying on a bench, like, how are you going to treat me now that I'm homeless? Interesting thing to kind of open your heart a little bit. This is the main garden. There in the background, on back up just a little bit, you will see the chapel on the left that's open 24/7. There's actually Mass every day. If anybody's Catholic and wants to go, the bulletin for the Mass schedule is in the dining hall. So I'm just kind of doing a round circle, and then I'm going to turn here and say, these are the doors that enter into the largest room, the rotunda, which you'll see in a moment. I'm going in a complete circle because I'm going to go for a little walk here. This is me with my iPhone mounted on a gimbal, and the gimbal's mounted on a film grip, so I'm trying to get a very stable video. If it's jerky, that's because we're on Zoom, but the actual video is pretty smooth. I did it at 4K and ridiculously at 60 frames per second. I'm walking through the garden to show you the beautiful oak chairs. That's the grotto in the background, that little brick wall, which is like a Mother Mary thing. There's a conference room in here. I'm going to stop. So the O'Mara conference room is to the right, but right here behind these doors are the 2 ADA rooms. And now I'm going to walk down the ramp that you would use if you, were in a wheelchair, if you were handicapped. There's a driveway to park, unload the vehicles, and come up so we can support. I know we've had a couple people go to Pause on Air who needed those services. The grotto is a traditional brick thing. It's in honor of Mother Mary. I don't really understand it, but it's there. This beautiful chapel on the left. I'm going to turn, and what I'm going to do is walk toward the chapel and then take you to the dining hall. If I stop here for a second, this building here is the largest meeting room, conference room in there. It's semicircular. It's called the Gellert Rotunda. It has 180 degrees of plate glass windows on the hill overlooking Silicon Valley. So during the day, during the night, the views are incredible. It has both a 10-foot wide screen and projector and a 90-inch monitor, and it has 100 chairs. We could fit 100 or 110 people in that room for our main gathering. Off to the left that I'm going to walk to, instead of going to the Gellert Rotunda, is this thing, you look right there, called the Breezeway. That comes up from the parking lot, and it separates the Gellert Rotunda from the dining hall, the dining room, which is over here. The rooms on the top of the dining room are where the priests live. So that's why we have to be quiet in this part of the facility after 9 at night when they go to bed. So they live right above the dining hall. Beautiful marble tables, oak chairs, and the hiking trail is very similar, oak benches all along. If I were to go straight into the left, you would go into the entrance of the chapel. I have another video for that. That will go on our website. We have about 24 videos that are going to get merged, and we're going to put them on our YouTube channel, which we have. And so I just wanted to give you a little view of the beautiful chapel that's probably about 80 years old. And then I'm going to walk to the dining hall, because this little walk people will be doing a lot at the event. This is the breezeway. Probably this is where we're going to check people in outdoors when they come in and greet them, because they'll come up from the driveway, which is below the staircase in the background here, and immediately they have this beautiful view. So I'm going to turn left, and I'm going to go down this red painted cement pathway that goes right down to the dining room, which also is a semicircular rotunda type room with plate glass windows overlooking Silicon Valley that will seat 100 people. Now, if we get 150 people, we're going to have to eat in shifts, or maybe some people will eat out in the breezeway. They have a support staff that'll take care of all of that. It's funny, these beautiful older oak doors don't have handles. You can see me in the mirror there. Sorry about the reflection. You just push on the door. There's no handles. I'm going to use my shoulder to walk in. And there you can see there's snacks always there. There's several places where there's coffee, so there'll always be fruit and snacks available. And before you actually walk into the dining hall, on the left on the door is where they're going to post the different times as they change day to day for the masses. So, I might not go to mass, but I'll probably go to the chapel and meditate. Here's your dining hall. It's obviously buffet style. Kitchen's on the left. They have a great staff. I met the head of the kitchen. Look at the views out the windows. It's just gorgeous, huh? And again, another station for feeding on the right. So this is the long video. I got a couple shorter ones, so bear with me. This is the Gellert Rotunda. So now I'm inside the other building that was on the right. This is set up right now as tables, but normally it'll be set up like more theater style for classes. You can see they have a 90-inch projector, a 90-inch screen, and at the top they have an electric 10-foot wide screen that comes down. Each one of these, if you're wondering if it's going to be glary, each one of these windows has its own manually pulled down paper shades. They have 3 microphones for this room, so that the PA system works really well, and the projector works well, the TVs work well. Kent and I went there and spent a few hours, and while I was videotaping, Kent went through and tested all the projection and sound equipment in all the meeting rooms, and it's all simple HDMI, plug in your computer and go. Kent, if you got any comments, you're welcome.
Videos and pictures do not do this place justice. It's got a vibe that is very unconference-like. It's soothing but yet engaging at the same time.
Cool, thank you.
But like it's going to draw you in and encourage you to let go and share and collaborate.
Nice. This is the actual entrance to the Gellert Rotunda. You're going to unfortunately see my giant gimbal thing in my hand as I open the door. Get an idea how gimbals work. I'm going into the Gellert Rotunda. There will be a coffee station there, and yeah, we'll have Pete's Coffee. These tables will be set up more like chairs again, but this is a walkthrough to give you a sense of the context, and this is a better view of the actual scenery. It's just gorgeous. And at night, with the lights in Silicon Valley, it looks really cool. And we have full access to this place 24/7, as long as we're quiet from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. outdoors.
And John, I understand that these rooms all have curtains in case there's glare issues.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. They all have paper
Yeah.
shades you pull down. So a couple of us get up and close them down real fast. The rotunda's got it's probably 20 of them, so it takes a couple minutes, but it's good. Look at the next one. This is the O'Mara conference room. Remember I mentioned where the ADA rooms are, and the O'Mara conference room was inside that building? This is not set up. These all chairs are stacked, and there's plenty more chairs in the hallway and in breakout rooms. But this is the O'Mara Hall. It's on the back side of the conference center against a wall. You'll see in the left there's a 90-inch monitor, and there's a PA system with microphones and nice large speakers, all for our use. I'm going to turn around so you can get a sense of the size of the room. Again, this is right after another conference ended and not everything was set up, but it's a good size. This room will hold 80. The Dellert Rotunda will hold 100, 110. This is bigger than anything we need. Now, I didn't show you the drive up the hill, although I have a long video that's the walk up the hill. This is the top of the hill where the original homeowner's house was, and this is now called St. Robert's Hall. The view is the opposite direction. It's toward the west, towards the mountains, toward the ocean. Very, very beautiful. Highway 280 is back there. You can't hear it. You can barely see it. But we're going to go into the building through one of the side entrances. And I just want to show you some of the rooms here, how cool this is. It's not a real long video. I showed you the long one already, 2.5 minutes. There's other entrances, but when I come in this way, this is kind of like the back side of the main entrance. The staircase to the right goes up to 9 double rooms at the top. That room there is a breakout room for about 15 people. There's the front door that looks out over the outside. This is the old family room, like the fireplace room. I guess you'd call that the sitting room, right? Not a family room, with a beautiful fireplace. And that's good for like 8 people for a little breakout room. I'm going to spin around again. I'm going to go into this room, which is absolutely beautiful. This is my favorite window view of the whole place. Look at that. You're looking out a circular window toward the hills with a lawn that has benches and Adirondack chairs, and we can have music outside there until 9 at night, and then we can come inside. Kent discovered a music room that I'll show you in this little rotation here. So this is a beautiful room, and when you turn around, this is a meeting room. There's more grass on the outside. I'm learning how to run a gimbal. I turn around and you've got a great room for panel discussions. Look at that. And there's a monitor in the corner, another 90-inch screen that we tested and worked. So there's a good place for 20, 30. I think she said this room has the capacity for 35 people. Probably can sit more. And you could set that up, or you could have a panel discussion. I'll turn around and give you the view of it from the long end of the room. And a little view out the windows, how beautiful it is out there. Again, if it's jerky, that's the zoom. That has an old marble fireplace, and look at that view. Can you imagine sitting here in the afternoon with a bunch of people having a little session, and it's like you're looking out there. That's just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
So John?
Yeah.
Vince is asking, I think it's in reference to this particular room, whether there are shades or not in this particular room.
I don't know. We'll go back and I'll look at it, but let me finish on. In fact, I'll just go back and we'll take a look, because I don't know. It doesn't look like there are. But the larger meeting rooms all have. Oh yeah, the 2 large meeting rooms certainly do. Yeah, they both do. This meeting room does not. And there's actually a 4th meeting room. I think you'll see a short video on that shortly. So if I just completely spin around and go out the room, trying to give you context, because there's so many rooms in this house and they're all on top of the hill. And it's, like I said, 1/8 of a mile, graceful walk up. We'll have one network with Wi-Fi here and another one down in the mainland. We're going to have 2 Wi-Fi networks. I'll explain that. If I come out this door, Instead of going up the staircase, turn into the next room. This is another type of sitting room, but look in the corner here. You see a little view of it. They have a Yamaha keyboard. So this is a great room, along with this one, to have music. And we could do it past 9 o'clock at night, except I'm going to be sleeping directly above this room. So many rooms in well-kept, beautiful property. There is like a 3-season porch outside. And if I go out there and show it to you, kind of a funny little room. Looks like they do baptisms in here or something. Or maybe they have Bible study. And then if you look out the window to the left, there's barely see it. It's got an outdoor patio and access to the hiking trails. There's also oh, here we go. That building down below, you walk from the main garden down there and you walk up this windy road to the top to come up here or come around to the right. That building there is St. Joseph's Hall, where there's 20 single rooms there. Really beautiful facility with outdoor hallways. That's where a lot of people will be staying as well. The hiking trails are just off to the left and they go all over the hill. There is also 9 rooms at the top of the staircase, which I don't show in this particular video, but I give you a sense of what the staircase is like, because that's what that is. And I think I have
somebody, John, somebody asked if you could see the Apple ring from the facility.
No, that's 8.5 miles away, and it's a windy road, but it's what, a 15-minute drive, Kent, about?
It's pretty close, but you can't see it from here. It's deliberately sort of meant to blend in with the landscape, so it doesn't stick out per Cupertino City Council requests.
Right. Okay, so this last video, again, the rotunda, what happens here, I show that's the rotunda. If instead I go down this hallway, of course, there's a bathroom on the left. There's men's and women's bathrooms and a storage room. Then there's breakout rooms on either side. I don't know if these are meant for Bible study meetings or what, but there's breakout rooms all the way down along the side. I'll take a look at a couple of them real here. Small meeting rooms. Right now they got the chairs shoved in there because they just finished a conference. So that's like a 8 or 10 person per room. But there's like 8 of those rooms in this hallway, right? And if I were to just kind of like speed through it a bit and come down the hallway, there's another room, and I'm just kind of jumping forward. Yet another room, and I'm giving you the numbers on the room. But you come down that same hallway, so it's down the hallway, down right, make another hallway, and you're in the O'Mara conference room. So that one room I showed you with the chair stacks up, this O'Mara conference room, is in the same building as the main rotunda, and it's just simply about a 80-foot walk. So that they're all there. So that's pretty much the tour videos I wanted to show you. There are plenty more videos, like the driving entrance to the place and where to park and all that, but I don't need to give you that. Wi-Fi. When I first went there, they said, oh yeah, we have great Wi-Fi. We've had groups of 150. I said, well, you know, this is kind of a nerd fest and people are going to be on their phones and stuff. And they go, oh, on the second tour, they're like, well, we use that Wi-Fi to run the business up front. They have a whole office staff in another building we won't go to. And they encouraged me to throw up my own Wi-Fi. And I'm like, okay, how do you do that? And Mike and I and Kent and I and Bob and I, a few people were talking. And we ended up buying 2 Starlink dishes and 6 mesh routers and all the technology involved. In fact, I'll be testing that soon with up to 250-foot Ethernet cables. We have a whole diagram of how we're going to set up our own Wi-Fi for improved connectivity. So you should have Wi-Fi that will be adequate for everybody on 2 networks. It'll be FA uphill and FA downhill. You set it up in the beginning, it'll automatically switch to one to the other while you're there. Cell phone signal is okay, it's 1 or 2 bars. We'll encourage people to use cell phones. It's not 4 bars because you're on top of a hill. But Starlink, when I called them and I met with the sales rep, she goes, oh, you're in the perfect location for Starlink. We have a lot of potency in Silicon Valley. You're on top of a hill and it's clear. You will have the fastest Starlink connectivity that Starlink offers. There's nothing in the way. There's clear spots. I've got tripods to set the Starlinks up. We got it all worked out to a science. We'll set it all up in a couple hours. Parking is a bit of a concern. This whole place will only hold 80 or 85 cars. There's 3 parking lots. There's one at the bottom where the commuters will park. There's one in the middle. We have videos on all of this, where most of the attendees will go. And for the volunteers who are part of our planning team who come early, there's a separate parking lot at the top. That's a one-way path that's kind of a dangerous road if cars go head against each other. So only the people who are going to be there the entire week and not leave will park at the top. We've got all that worked out. We're going to encourage carpooling. Of course, a lot of people are flying in and they're going to take Uber from the airport, and there won't be a car. It's not very far away. Plenty of opportunities for privacy between the breakout rooms, your own room, the hiking trails, the chapel, the gardens, all the tables. If you want to be alone or with somebody else, there's plenty of room for that. Again, the quiet times are from 9 a.m. to 8 a.m., but we'll work that out. We won't have s'mores in a fireplace, but we will have, we are supplying wine and beer and soda and water, and there will be a bourbon tasting party. I'm bringing some very nice bourbon in the evening time, snacks all day. So in the evening, we'll have some fun. There's going to be jam sessions. We've got a special dessert treat we're going to bring from Silicon Valley. Only of those of you from there know what it is.
We encourage you to bring your instruments.
Yes. Yes, if you have a banjo, we'll hopefully get Bob Bowers coming, right? You got a guitar, we got a keyboard there. If you got a harmonica or, whatever, you want a grand piano and you want to bring it, great. 65 single rooms, 18 double rooms, that comes out to like 100 and, do the math for me, 102, 103 beds. The rest are commuters, total 150, that's capacity to seat people and to feed people. Some amenities provided, which means, towel sheets, blankets, pillows. We actually have to supply the soap, the hair conditioner, and the shampoo. So we've got all that ordered. The dining hall is buffet style. Here the food's really good. If we get 150 people, we'll either eat in shifts or we'll stagger it somehow. They know that our goal is to sell out at 150. But anything over 80, we're good. We have a feeling it's going to be at least 125 people. They have wonderful.
Hey, John,
go ahead.
Do you know if they will cater to special diets?
Yeah, they will. Absolutely. So part of, I think Ron will speak about this when it's his turn. I think there's a place to mention that you have special dietary concerns, and within reason, they will support those. Yes. People like gluten-free or dairy-free or vegan, yeah. Even libations in the tasting party. Registration's open. As you know, we're looking at staggering sales. We're going to sell 40 or 50 tickets and then put them on hold for a couple weeks. And the purpose of that is so that there are a lot of new upcoming people in our community who aren't on, FM Slug and aren't part of this group, who aren't part of forums, and they might not know this happening. So once we get a number of people registered, we want to pause it a little to give time for people who don't know about these type of things to discover it before all the tickets are sold out. The timing on that is under discussion. We may put it on hold for 3 weeks or something, but the goal is to build a little anticipation, but also just to get people to come who may be overlooked in the community. Because look, I'm getting older. I'll retire at some point. I'm really concerned about seeding the next generation with good stuff and opportunities and creating a climate where newer people feel welcome into this, and it's not all hierarchical, but everybody's equal. We're all here together. We all have various skills to bring, and I want that to be honored, different lifestyles. Registration waits we talked about, and registration's open. Getting there, San Jose Airport, SJC, 20 minutes away. SFO, 30 minutes. Oakland, 45 minutes. So it's less than an hour from 3 of the major airports on the West Coast. It's a short drive. We're encouraging carpool or Uber. That's pretty straightforward. There will be some swag. Everybody gets, Mike, do you have that handy by any chance?
I do have that handy. I'll put it in front of my shirt here.
Lift it up higher.
Kind of see it.
So higher. There we go. This is faux leather embossed, bound, lined notebook with tan colored pages. Everybody gets one of those and a pen to write with. Everybody also gets either a fleece type jacket or a hoodie. They'll all be black and they'll all have the logo embroidered on the left chest. Simple enough as a commemorative thing. When I did boot camps 20 years ago, I still have jackets. I talk to people all the time that still have a jacket from it, and they remember that event fondly in their heart.
Hey, John?
Yeah, go ahead.
People would like you to stop sharing so they can see this journal a little bit better. So I share my screen for a second.
Okay, go.
There we go. We see it.
Oh, oops. I didn't
Not
mean
your
me.
screen,
I didn't mean
just
to
you
stop
talking.
share my screen. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, I can see it.
There we go.
There you go. It's like roughly 6x9 dimensions. Can you flip it open? So it's hard to see, but those are line pages, and it's nice. And you get a pen with blue ink that will have the name of the event on it too. So that's all part of it. You get a jacket, a pen, a thing, and a really nice lanyard. And name tags being designed by Ron and Alan Poole and Brian Panusen, who's not here, who's on our team, who designed the logo and a bunch of other things for us. So everybody has their slots. So that's some of the perks. Let me go back to sharing just for another moment. Well, I'm doing the slides, so continue. Am I back? Am I back up? Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it. I see swag.
Slack has this way of making everybody disappear on me when I'm trying to do the. Okay, so that's the swag. Pretty limited stuff, but we're trying to make it simple. But you'll have something to go home as a memorable thing. Session recordings. Mike, you want to cover this?
Yeah, I'll cover that.
Good.
Okay. Just finishing typing response. There you go. Okay. So I did briefly discuss this, that we do intend to record sessions, but not all sessions will be recorded. First of all, any session that we would like to do a recording on will be on the auspices of the presenter. If the presenter does not want his session recorded, we won't do that. We have 3 types of sessions that we are thinking of. We have the presenter-oriented session where somebody's going to do a presentation, and then after the presentation, we'll do discussions. And for those type of sessions, with the permission of the presenter, we will record those, but stop the recording when the discussions start. So the interactive presentations, what we actually highly encourage interactive presentations are ones like this one where people can kind of butt in and ask questions during the session. We're not going to record these because we don't want people to feel inhibited by the fact that they're being recorded in perpetuity. So the interactive presentations will not be recorded, and also the same goes for the work life sessions will not be recorded as well.
Okay, next. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So now we're not going to present Patrick. I'm going to present Kent, who's filling in for Patrick tonight. He also toured the facility, but he's going to kind of review some of the frequently asked questions. So Kent, if you want to introduce yourself and then go into the questions, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Kent Silveira. I like many of you, started as a FileMaker, just a citizen developer as an analyst at Disney, and just needed something to help me, manage an ever-increasing breaking Excel spreadsheet, and found out about the wonders of three-dimensional modeling through that, and never really stopped. I've recently had the privilege and honor of building a number of systems for Apple that were phased out, and I'm here because I'm helping Jonn kind of evangelize this platform. I think, as many of my colleagues have found out, it is surprisingly more powerful than anyone suspects it can be. And I'd really love to help spread that word and encourage new people to come to the platform as well, who may not be aware of it, and like citizens are just looking for solutions and something to solve them. This is a great opportunity to do that, as Jonn has pointed out, to kind of like help bring new people in who may be a little too intimidated by professional. I'm not a coder, I'm not a professional this, I'm not an engineer. You don't have to be. You don't have to be to make great solutions with this platform. Next slide, please. So we are So what is an unconference? A very good question, and it probably doesn't have a straightforward answer. It's participant driven. It's a place where attendees can create and actively engage in discussions, promoting collaborative and flexible learning. So sort of what we're looking for here, not so professional. The spirit of the event is to share and learn from other people. The full access mission statement is we want to bring Claris FileMaker people together to freely share ideas, successes, and rabbit holes in a calm and comfortable location, unbound by restrictive scheduling. This will be a chance to renew our vision, meet old and new friends, and consider anew where we want to go with our primary dev tool in our rapidly changing tech world. And who can take part? We warmly invite Claris FileMaker developers of all experience levels who are passionate about sharing their expertise, innovative solutions, and unique perspective to actively engage in our event. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just beginning your journey, your contributions are valued, and we encourage you to join us in fostering a collaborative and enriching environment. And who's attending? The list is on our website. Please feel free to check that out. It's who is putting on full access? Volunteers, led by passionate Claris FileMaker developers, Jonn Howell and Mike Ross, who you've heard speak, have put in countless hours already towards creating this place and this environment for everybody can connect and contribute. Our attending page shows most of the rest of the volunteers. If you'd like to volunteer, please fill out our contact form on the website. Tell us a bit about yourself, how you'd like to help. Can you submit a session to present? Yes, we strongly encourage new session proposals. Sharing your knowledge and experiences is the heart of full access. This includes not only technical topics related to Claris FileMakers, but discussions on how to create effective work environments, navigate career paths in tech, and address the challenges of working in the field. If you have an idea, technique, solution, or otherwise relevant discussion topic you think would benefit the community, we'd love to give you the opportunity to present. On a personal note, I almost wanted to make the theme of this how to code with kindness. Lisette brought a great point up the other day that we should be all friends. We know we all sort of have different clients, we have different businesses we work in, and sometimes one place is a little too busy, but hey, I know somebody else who's a great fit for your particular business model. In a way, the FileMaker community I've found has been better at that than most any others in the tech world, and it's great to contribute and to connect the right person with the right problem to solve. How to submit before the event, use our contact form if you want to submit a session proposal. During the event, flag down one of the event organizers. And the event days will be blocked out in 1 hour segments as a starting framework. It expects us to change every day. We are flexible. We are sort of letting this organically grow as it goes. So some creative chaos can be fun. Try to plan your sessions in 30, 60, or 90-minute increments. Next slide, please. Session guidelines. Sessions should be interactive and collaborative. We invite everyone to take the stage, talk freely about their experiences. They should keep to the forward-looking spirit of the mission statement, be engaging, meet in a spirit of curiosity, not be product demonstrations. I'll focus more on function than form, and be spontaneous. If you find an interest in coffee and lots of Pete's versus I'm trying to what's the other one I really like a lot? Now it's forgetting me. Not Starbucks.
Dutch Brothers?
Phil's. Yes, Pete's versus
Okay.
Phil's. Let's have that. Let's have a discussion. Will there be an official presentation template? No. We want to respect your individuality. If you prefer not to use PowerPoint and Keynote, we'll let you present in some other way. That's fine with us. Feel free to choose a format that works best with you. Will sessions be recorded? Only tech related?
Oh, hold on, Kent.
Oh,
just
yeah.
a little addition to that is that
Okay.
We are going to make this template, the full access template, available if somebody wants to use it. It's not mandatory or anything.
Yeah, it's already been designed, but it's absolutely, do you want to use it or not? You don't have to.
Yeah.
Feel free. Sharing our creations. Um, if you don't want your discussion to be recorded, we talked about this earlier, doesn't have to be, just let the tech people know. And if you want to request a certain day or time, we'll make every effort to honor that, but no guarantees. This is kind of discovering as we go a little bit with what the demands are, what people are feeling, what they want to do. Perhaps day by day, new things will open up and create avenues for new discussions. I have I have not personally been to a pause on error, but so I come into this with new eyes and curious about what can happen myself. This is really exciting. And anyone have any other questions? I know those are FAQs that are frequently asked, even though no one's asked them yet.
Yeah, last slide mentions on the website all the documents you need to read, code of conduct, terms and conditions, liability, all that stuff Ron has put together, a data-driven website. Patrick has done a lot of the editing. He was not here today, the content editing, but all of that's available now on the website. So any questions you might have about technical or legal stuff, that's all covered too.
Yeah, I will say it is a steep hillside to kind of prepare for some walking and hiking, and although there are accommodations as well. But you've probably seen some of that from the videos. Anyway,
thank you, Ken. I'm going to stop sharing, and Ron's going to share. And well, we're going to introduce Ron, right? Tell us about yourself, Ron, and then we'll go into the.
I still had a slide on there to work from before I start sharing. So,
oops, give me a second. Technical dorkiness here. Go ahead.
Yeah, next slide. Okay, so my name is Ron Glenn Cates of RGC Data. I am a Claris consulting partner. I've been a FileMaker developer for over 15 years, and actually my first taste of FileMaker was back in FileMaker 7, like 25 years ago or something like that. I got contacted by Jonn Howell because I am actually currently the co-facilitator and host of the Kentucky on a FileMaker developers group. And when I took over that responsibility 4 years ago or so, I started revamping our website over there and our registration experience for our user group. And I decided to do a back-end FileMaker database and kind of update anything. Our original founder, Alan Bird, had a database in place, but to be honest, it was a bit outdated. So I took over that responsibility and built a database to manage the group and to integrate it with a new website for the Kentuckiana group. And so over those last 4 years, it's been kind of an ongoing adventure with data API and website integration. Jonn is one of our frequent attendees over at the Kentuckiana group, and he's familiar with our system over there. And I'd done a few sessions on how I put all that together in the group. And so Jonn thought to reach out to me when he was putting together this conference and see if I might be interested in architecting the registration system and the attendee experience and all that kind of stuff. So I was excited to get on board. And so first and foremost, I kind of wanted it to be an example of eating our own dog food. Of course, it's a FileMaker conference, so we should have, FileMaker playing a big role in managing our data and our process and our attendee experience. So the goal was to create an engaging and personalized conference experience with a back-end FileMaker-driven website using a web front end driven by a FileMaker database in the back end. So we've got a very extensive, full-featured FileMaker back end for managing all of the event data. And then we went with a WordPress website for the front end. And so the question is, why WordPress? And the reason is because all of my integrations, all of the clients that I've done integrations for and all of my experience, Every time I've had to do an integration, it was with a client who already had an existing WordPress website, and that was the environment that I've ended up having to work in. And, you know, I'm not a web developer. I've had some web development experience over the years, but I'm not a full stack, you know, PHP programmer. That's just not my wheelhouse. And so when it came to building websites, uh, I worked in WordPress to learn how to build some websites, and over the years have gotten a little bit more better at it. But the point is that WordPress is kind of the tool that's the go-to for people who are not necessarily full stack, you know, web developers. And when it comes to doing web integrations, it's, you know, great if you have a full stack web developer on staff that can build a website on some other framework and all that kind of stuff. But my experience is that more often than not, a small business is contracted out with some Fiverr or something like that to do a WordPress website. So anyway, the whole idea is that's where I've been working in these past several years. And for me, this whole experience is meant to be not just a demonstration of what FileMaker developers can do for other FileMaker developers, but in a real world, you know, anonymous user type situation. And so that seemed like the way to go. And also because that's the environment that I've been working in. And over the past couple of years, especially the last year or so, because I've been working in the WordPress environment, I've been developing a WordPress plugin specifically designed for integration with the data API. And essentially what that is a full-featured snippet plugin to allow for doing kind of your own PHP snippets within WordPress. But the plugin also contains the full connectivity for the data API. It manages the tokens, the connection, and all of that kind of stuff for you. So once you put that plugin in place and you enter your credentials, you don't have to worry about all of the token management and all of that kind of stuff. And then it provides a custom web publishing environment to be able to kind of do your own coding to pull in the data that you need. Over the years, you know, there have been other WordPress plugins that have come out for integrating with FileMaker. But as we know, FileMaker is a custom database environment where every database is different. Every user's need is different. So trying to build like a WordPress plugin to fit everybody's needs is virtually impossible. So I went with the next best thing, which is to provide a plugin that provides a custom web publishing environment. So the current content and features, this is where I'll go ahead and go to the screen sharing. So there we go. Yeah, needed John to let go of the screen.
There you go.
So, you know, John had contacted me, and, you know, this conference has not been in the years in the making. It was just kind of a sudden thing to come upon us. And when he contacted me, he was like, okay, we need a website and a registration system like yesterday. So,
Sorry, Ron.
I've poured in an enormous amount of hours and effort into getting this up and running as fast as possible. So
He really has. We have a lot of thanks to Ron for building this. This would not be the same thing without him whatsoever.
yeah, and I've gotten some, you know, a lot of help with Patrick with just the static website stuff and some of the other data that needed to be put into place while I was building the backend programming. So, you know, first and foremost, in order to get the ball rolling, the first thing we had to do was be able to take registrations. So, you know, the registration system is up and running. This registration system is built with that plugin that I was talking about. And when you submit and pay, all of this information gets directly dropped into a FileMaker database. Let me pull that over real quick. So this is our event management database right here. And so when somebody registers, the registration is logged in the database. It also breaks the registration, that order, into orders and line items, and basically, you know, breaks it down into a full ordering system. It captures the registration itself. It actually uses an API to generate a QR code that is included in the email. And it generates the QR code, and then it uploads it using that same WordPress plugin to the website so that the email can have a URL to pull it in. So we've done quite a bit of different APIs that we use. We have an email blast that is driven by SMTP to go for emails. We have a Slack integration so that when somebody registers, it actually sends a message to our Slack channel that's for all the volunteers so we can see when somebody registers. So all of that is being driven here. The registrations themselves, we can close registrations. We can set a date for when the registrations open. We can set the pricing, how many are available, and all of that stuff. So it's all driven by the by the database. The other things, so once you register, what it does is it creates your attendee record. And once you have your attendee record created, then you can actually go in and log into your profile. So we have a profile section up and running where you can go and edit your profile, upload a picture, upload a logo, fill in all the information, including a bio. And so this is going to be kind of the central profile is going to be where that personalized attendee experience is going to come from. The attendees will be able to log in and go to their profile to be able to kind of build their schedule and stuff like that. So some of the other stuff that's being pulled directly from the website is the frequently asked questions. So
Hey, Ron,
yeah,
there's a question in the chat.
okay, what's the question?
It's from Eric. He said, I missed, what is generating this form? I'm not really sure what form he's specific to, but he wants to just kind of break in.
The registration form is being generated by the, I have to log out to show the form again. Registration form is being built using that custom web publishing snippets plugin. So let's take a quick look at how that works. So here in the WordPress admin section, this is my plugin, custom CWP Snippets. And so what I have is all of these snippets. And they're basically just custom coded PHP, JavaScript, CSS. So let's look at event registration. So the good news about this plugin is that it handles all of the connectivity with FileMaker. The bad news is you still have to learn how to do some PHP coding. However, one of the things that has been really amazing in this last year or so, especially, is AI. So I would never have been able to get this done in the time that I was given if it wasn't for being able to use AI to help write all of this code. So it does take some learning how to do the right prompts and how to work with AI and how to kind of get through the nuances of it all, but it definitely speeds up the process. But this is all contained within a snippet that gets pulled into a page with a short code. And this is one thing, unlike other snippet programs or snippet plugins, this is something I added that I hadn't seen, that each snippet can have its own CSS to go along with it. So you can basically tailor build your whole, page or form or whatever it is, and have your accompanying CSS right in here. And so as you can see, all of these pages that we have, the attendee page, the attendee adding and editing, the login page, the attending page, which I didn't even hit on. If we go over here, we can see all the people that are registered so far. And this is how you can go and view their profile from here. And so that's all generated by that snippet plugin. We have documents, email template. Here's where the fax is being pulled in, FAQs, newsletter, opt-in, upload. So all of this stuff is just being injected right into the website using shortcodes. And, I was trying not to make this a advertisement for my plugin, but this is available on my website. And some of the other neat things with this is that, the way you set this up is you just go in and put your host domain, your database, default layout, username and password for your API username, whatever you want it to be. And then in the
We
snippet.
have another question.
Sure.
From Eric. It says, did you prompt for PHP to be explicitly written for WordPress? I think that's a prompt for ChatGPT. I would
Yeah,
assume.
that was one of the things that I had to, that I have to do, and I try to stay up on anybody using this plugin. They would, one thing that they would have to learn is that you want to be able to specifically tell AI that you're working in a WordPress environment, because there are all kinds of different security standards and ways of writing things that are different within WordPress than they would be in an environment that's not within WordPress. So I definitely would, when I went through and built all this stuff, I definitely would instruct AI. I would start off by saying, I'm working with a snippet plugin, injecting PHP into a WordPress website using shortcodes, and this is what I need. And then AI would already know how to write the code so that it's meets the WordPress standards and things like that. So the plugin comes with some templates and samples. And so it's kind of a really neat thing. The templates basically are all the different functions that are written into the PHP class. So I've constructed a PHP class that's specifically built to work within the WordPress environment for stuff like, find records, get database names, all the standard data API functions are in here. And then so if you just go to get record, you can see you've got basically the template to copy and paste into your own page to tap into the database. And then there's a preview button so that you can go and preview.
So this looks very portable. That you created a lot of this for the Kentucky group, but then you were able to just turn around and apply this to the full access.
Yeah, and one of the neat things that I added was the ability I can actually export all of these snippets. And then when I start another website, if I need any of those snippets, I can just import them directly in. So
Very nice.
Yeah, so basically a lot of this stuff was kind of templated in the Kentuckiana group website. It did a lot of it too is also all of the snippets themselves. A lot of changes had to be made for this, like for instance, the registration system for the Kentuckiana group is not a paid registration, so I didn't have to worry about doing a payment form and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah. So this is what sets up the environment to be able to do custom web publishing within a WordPress environment and achieve that data integration. So
beautiful. Hey, would you show us the venue page on the website?
Yep. Venue is just
while you're going there, Eric has commented that this would be a whole meeting presentation itself, including the AI coding process. And I did respond that we're going to be giving a full presentation at the Unconference.
Yeah, so. And I'm also, honestly, at some point, I want to kind of start doing the rounds and do some presentations just about my plugin and kind of get the word out about it. I've been kind of trying to get it to a little bit more polished before I really put it out there. It is available for download and can be used right now, downloaded by anybody right now, but before I kind of really got the word out, I was hoping to do a little bit more polish and some stuff. But I mean, it's pretty much production ready. I'm using it in several different websites, so it's ready to go. I just been a little nervous about getting too much publicity on it yet.
Got it. Show us the images that are there and then the YouTube page so they know that that's available, would you please? This is a wonderful code. This is the first time I've seen some of it myself.
Yeah, so the images, and then there's the YouTube page. YouTube channel is there, and this is just a static web page. I was going to say some of the other things that are being pulled directly from the website, so when we want to edit them, all we have to do is edit them in FileMaker as like the code of conduct and the terms of service. These are things that, they're being edited in FileMaker and just being pulled right into these pages. So that's pretty much shows what's
You
available.
also set it up, sorry, Ron, you set it up so that it would actually use the format that you type in FileMaker as well, right?
Yes, you can do, because FileMaker has get as CSS, you can actually use some formatting on the text in FileMaker, and that will carry through to the web page. I had to write some custom functions or some PHP functions to kind of be able to capture and convert like web addresses, URLs, and things like that. But all of that came out really well, so that when we're doing the editing in the database, we can actually enter into the field. Let's see, documents. And here's terms of services, for instance. If we do any italic or bold or change font size, that all carries through. Trying to see.
Yeah, you got some there.
Yeah, a little bit of tags to help out and stuff. So actually that's, oh, okay. I think he added those tags, but I don't know if he realized that he didn't necessarily have to. So this was Patrick that edited this stuff, but like bold and things like that should carry right through without having to do HTML tags. Yeah. And then our facts for, like for instance, mission statement, we can do, you can either put in a website address or you can do an anchor tag and it will come through as a link. So yeah, we've done quite a bit to make all of this stuff easily editable in the FileMaker database, and then it pulls right into the website.
Beautiful.
So some of the other features that will be coming, because of course we've got 6 more months to go, and it's going to be an ongoing development process. But the idea is that we're going to have a schedule. We're going to have all the sessions listed. The schedule is going to be customizable. For instance, you could kind of go mark your favorites for each time slot. Like if there's 3 sessions during a time slot, you can choose which one you want to go to and then filter down to the ones you've chosen. You'll be able to kind of do some of those kind of personalizing things. For those that are presenting, when they log into their profile, they'll be able to have a link to go and edit their own session from within their account on the website, things like that. So,
hey, Ron, did we have a brief discussion that if time permits and availability permits, we're going to even be able to like track attendance per session? That's at least a talk we've had.
It was one of the things that we have discussed was we're looking at possibly putting a QR code on the badges so that people can kind of check into a session with their QR code, and it would log them as having attended that, so that both the attendee can keep track of what sessions they attended, and then we'd have a metric for seeing who attended what sessions and things like that. So that was some of the things that we've been discussing.
There's a lot of open discussion about the different ways to tweak and enhance this, and it's all a matter of how available Ron is and how much time we've got.
Yeah.
6 months will go really fast.
It will, and but I'll be staying on top of it, and we'll see it'll be interesting to see what the end result is.
Awesome.
But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this all web-based is because, it's all fine and good if you're going to an Engage or even going to this. We could pretty much count on most everybody attending is going to have an iPhone. And so, yeah, we could do a FileMaker Go app or something like that. But if I wanted to show a system that could be used for any other conference, not just a FileMaker conference. Right. And at any other conference, you're not going to be able to guarantee that your attendees have iPhones. FileMaker Go is not necessarily going to be, something that you could insist. As a matter of fact, the very first DevCon that I went to, I did not have an iPhone, and they were distributing a FileMaker Go solution, and I was left out because I didn't have an iPhone, so I couldn't participate. So, but
Vince just made a comment that even in Claris Engage, not everybody has an iPhone.
Right. And so, yeah, my intent is to present a real world, and I'm actually working with a couple of other conferences. So I've been doing some of this integration work because I've had real world need for some of it. And one other conference that I've worked with had, like a WordPress plugin that was Event Tickets Plus, and then it was tied to WooCommerce, and then I had to use webhooks to be able to deliver the data to the FileMaker database. But then it was practically impossible to sync it back, or it was a huge undertaking to try and sync that data back to the WooCommerce and the Tickets Plus plugin and all that kind of stuff. So when John approached me to do this, my first thought, because we had such short time, was that I was going to have to go that route. But then I made the decision that no, I'm tired of doing this, trying to deal with data in WordPress and in FileMaker. I want to do something that just is directly connected to FileMaker. And thankfully I was able to make the time and make it work so that we could get this thing up and running. So
This is awesome. I think if you're done, I think we're about out of time, Ron. I have one last slide. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the system? Ron?
Did you trying to check the questions real quick?
Yeah.
Let's see if there are any.
We've been keeping up with you. I think we got them all.
Yeah, and I think, and yeah, the intent is definitely to make this a session at the conference. To when it's all said and done, when we're at the conference, we'll all see how we put it together when we get there. Like when we get the end result, we'll all take a look at how it was all put together. So
October is going to be really fascinating.
So
can I share? Are you done? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. That's wonderful. Mike, did you want to close with the rest of these slides?
Yeah, I do want to close. And before I go through this particular this slide, I did want to say, after we finish out here, Dennis Burnham had a little anecdote for us. And I don't know if he still wants to present that, but let me just get through this last slide, and then we can have you go ahead and do that. And I think we'll have it wrapped up after that.
Is my screen back up? It's hard for me to get indication. You can see it?
I can see the slides. So you can see that we have a lot to prove to the community because we're the new kids on the block. And you can see we've been putting a lot of hard work and effort into this. And now it's sort of your turn. What would you like to see? If you have questions, we'd love to be able to answer them. And if you have any kind of concerns or any other considerations that we may have overlooked, please contact us. You can do it now or later. And we sure hope that you'll come and join us at this, because I think it's going to be a good time and for everybody.
So Q&A.
So thank you for listening to us. So any last questions before we go to Dennis?
I just want to say you're gelling together as a team, and it shows, and a lot of hard work, and just really really great to see all this stuff coming together. And I just want to say, like in some of the other conferences that I attended, oftentimes one underestimates the power of the sun, and that's why I was asking about the shades in certain rooms. It's a killer, like you're trying to see the screen, but you're competing against sunlight and glare and all that kind of thing. So be aware of that, especially because the sessions are in the daytime and depending on the orientation of the light of whatever. So I'm glad that some of the rooms have shades you can pull down, but just be aware that that's definitely an issue people struggle
and
with.
I think that for that one room that doesn't have shades, we can sort of design sessions that don't require the technology.
Yeah.
So
that's a good idea.
There's also, Vince, one other room I didn't show. that is up the, actually two other rooms I didn't show, two other conference rooms that have plenty of shade. They're on the shady side of the hill and they have blinds that go down. So it's actually 5 large conference rooms and only one of them has glare issues. So we can work it out. But it's a good concern.
Absolutely.
Good concern.
And then the other thing I want to point out, sometimes because we all tend to be interested in the technical aspects of things, is especially in terms of presentation and how you present, what you talk about, etc. Always remember to focus on not just the what, but the why.
Yeah.
Like, not just how to do something or what it is, but really communicate the value, the benefit, the why, those kinds of things.
That should come first.
Yeah, exactly. Sell the sizzle or whatever they say. But that really is a big deal,
Well, I agree with that 100%. So one of the last things, Vince, talking to you specifically, we still have room for some sponsorship if he's just putting it out there.
And I already talked to Jay about it. He's definitely interested just because it is local in California. We just need to figure it out, etc. So I'll remind him, and hopefully we'll have a little contingency going.
We
have some unique sponsorship ideas, but we won't just go get into them here at this venue.
We could send you an email and just kind of tell you what our thoughts are on it. It's pretty simple.
Okay, yeah. So you already have Jay's email, so go ahead and communicate with him directly as well.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that a lot.
Okay, so once again, thanks everyone, and then we'll. David Simpson had texted us that he would like some sponsorship info too. So, David, make sure you, in case we don't have it, if you put your contact information in the chat, that would be just wonderful. If you can address it to either John or myself or to the whole group. So, Dennis,
you
had an anecdote you wanted to share.
Yeah, I was reminded of this episode in my life when Lisette was presenting a little while ago. Happened to me. I think it's a really great conference experience, and because all of us who are still here are men, let me just warn you all, and I'm going to tell you this could happen to you. I was in the Las Vegas Convention Center many years ago attending a convention. And I was in a meeting that was supposed to run from 8 in the morning until noon with a coffee break somewhere in the middle of it, around, let's say, 10:30. And it was getting close to 10 o'clock and the coffee had already run through me. And I was just desperate to find the men's room. So I snuck out of the meeting room and I headed down the hallway in the conference center. And, it's not different from airports or sports stadiums where the men's room and the ladies' room have these 2 entrances, like an entrance and an exit. And as I passed this first opening, clearly it was the ladies' room. So I ducked into the very next one before I realized where I was. It was empty because everybody was in meetings in that convention. So there were no urinals in view. So I just quickly ducked into one of the stalls. Decided to pee, and then before I knew it, I heard voices. And I guess the 10:30 coffee break had begun and the women started to fill up the room. Now, I had a very high profile reputation in that industry. So it was the first day of a 5-day convention. And if the news had gotten around that Dennis Burnham is lurking in the ladies' room, it would not have been good for me. So I sat there with my feet off the ground, being as quiet as I could. And the other thing that happened while I was sitting there was I started to hear all the gossip about men. So I waited and waited, and by the time I felt it was safe to make my exit, the coffee break was over. The room was empty, and I went back to the meeting room, and everybody turned to me and they said, "Where have you been?" I just said, I can't tell you where
But there will be a presentation on women's opinions.
And then a few years later, the editor of the trade magazine put out a call for articles. The topic was supposed to be your most embarrassing experience.
Oh, there you go.
And she published my story when by then it was safe to tell the truth about it. And it won some kind of award for being the most embarrassing story that anybody had ever published.
I wouldn't mind
Anyway.
having a session like that at the event if we're careful what we share. That's not bad.
Well, I don't know what the facilities are like from your movie about the men's room and the ladies' room. So it's probably
Right.
too small a venue to have that kind of a large bathroom. But
Well, the Jesuits are known for rules, and I have a sense that they're probably pretty good at setting up the gender rules for the bathroom, so I'm not too worried about it.
well, what really matters is the signage.
Yeah. That's it. Anybody else comments, questions? Really
About full
appreciate
access,
your time.
anything?
Sorry?
Oh yeah, it was about full access. If there's anything else.
Well, I think we're gonna toss it back to you now, Eric.
Thank
Close
you.
us
Oh,
out.
well then I can
something-
I can share my my conference experience.
I
think
just
I
wanted to, can I jump in real quick? I just
Yeah,
wanted
go ahead.
that, you know, Dennis earlier had commented that he went on the website and ran into a problem. And what it was is that you have to register first, and then registering creates your account. And he had tried to go to log into an account before registering, which means there was no account there to log into. So I just wanted to kind of let everybody know that that was straightened out, and that especially our group, that the registration system is working fine.
And we're not going to charge him 3 times for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Thank you, Ron.
My fault.
Well, yeah. So I was a college student. We were heading down to Area 51 with a bunch of friends.
God.
And on the way, we stopped in Las Vegas at a casino, and there happened to be a conference going on there downstairs. We just needed to go downstairs and make a phone call to find out where everybody in our convoy was at. And there happened to be a conference going on down there. And one of the guys with us, he was like he had a video camera. He was like documenting the whole trip. And he was walking over here and walking over there and aimed the camera down into a conference room where a conference was going on. And then all of a sudden, one of the guys inside turns around and points at him. And he goes, right? And all of a sudden, he got completely surrounded by several people who were attending that conference. And it turned out to be an undercover cop conference.
Oh, God.
Everybody there was an undercover cop. And I wasn't standing next to him at the time, but they like looked around the room, pointed me out, pointed out somebody else. They surrounded us all, got separated every one of us, and started interviewing us and finding out what we were all about.
That's funny.
That's
We left out the story that we were actually heading to Area 51.
I bet.
So,
That is so cool.
That's cool.
yeah,
Well,
so
we
we were
welcome you all.
banned from that casino for a while.
well, folks, it's getting past my bedtime here in Central Time, so
Thanks, Ron.
go ahead and jump off.
Thanks.
See y'all later.
We'll talk
Bye,
to you soon.
Ron.
Good night. Thank you for your work. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your patience all. This is a long presentation. This is our longest one we're going to give. We'll probably take pieces of it for other groups, but you guys have been wonderful and patient. Thank you.
All the questions anybody would ever have, they can come here to this video.
Yeah. Anybody else, anything that you want to share?
Yeah, well, actually, we're still recording, so I don't know if that's okay with Dennis, but and the government will probably come after me for my venture.
Here you go.
We didn't actually get into Area 51. We got up to a mountain where you could actually look over and look between 2 other mountains and see part of the airfield. That was it.
Nice.
And then they bought up that mountain. You couldn't do that anymore. Well, all right. So yeah, if you guys want to say anything off record, I'll stop it now.